Our speaker just logged in.
Boom.
Give me 1 second. Recording.
And welcome to Tiffany Hunter.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the April 16th meeting of the Rotary Club at Beaver Creek. Happy Friday, everyone. I am your host, Mike Canada. I'm glad all of you could be here today. I see some faces that I haven't seen in a while, and that's always a pleasure to see. I'd like to thank our greeters. I'd like to thank Mike Zwick for our great speakers and programs, Jim Gundel and Alex Zaharia for website and YouTube, and Beth Cusack for our book dedication. I'd like to welcome everyone who is on with us today, any guests that may be joining, and if you are a guest, I would like to pause here so that you might introduce yourself.
Hey, this is Frank Farkash, joining as a guest of Irvin and Rick. We'll be applying for membership here in the future.
Welcome.
The director of nursing for emergency services at Green Memorial Hospital and Soin Medical Center.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Any other guests?
Hi, this is Dan Pearson. I'm the ICU director at Soin Medical Center.
Welcome, Dan. All right, and as always, a special welcome to our speaker who Brandon says he never shows up unless he's speaking, Mr. Rick Dodds.
Fridays are tough. Thanks, guys.
And his co-presenter, Dr. Daniel Pearson from Soin, who did introduce himself. Thank you so much, the both of you, for making time for our club today. So far, our club's been averaging 37 on Zoom and about 12 on YouTube. So we do have a stand-in, a sergeant at arms, unfortunately. He goes by the name of Private Huff, and I will turn it over to him.
For the record, it's Supreme Allied Commander at this point, and Rick Dodds. I apologize there. It was a pot shot, but I had to take the opportunity.
Hey, I don't hate you. It's all good. I understand, Brandon.
Welcome to Beaver Creek Rotary and all the friends at Soin who are joining us today. I'll dive right in here. So we got a couple birthdays and anniversaries. Actually, all anniversaries. Miss Tiffany Hunter celebrating her 1-year anniversary with our Rotary Club. So congrats, Miss Hunter. Mr. Todd Figgin celebrating 5th wedding anniversary today. I don't know if he's with us right now. And then Mr. Pete Landrum 2 days ago celebrated number 31 years with his wife. So congrats to Pete. And he also finished his woodworking project through his house, which I know he is thrilled about. We're going to dive into some Beaver Creek facts. I thought that would be fun. A couple random things about our town. Beaver Creek was incorporated in February 1980. We are the 3rd largest city in the region by population, behind Dayton and Kettering, and the 2nd largest city in the region by land, behind Dayton. We are one of only 4 cities in the state of Ohio with no income tax, and we are significantly larger in land, population, and business than those other 3 cities. Pete, I know that's a sensitive issue for you. I'm sorry. Beaver Creek is home to 23 parks. Over 48% of the populace holds a bachelor's degree. General Janet Wolfenbarger, who was the first female 4-star general and the former commander of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, is a graduate of Beaver Creek High School. And Beaver Creek was also once ranked in Money Magazine's top 100 places to live in the U.S. So a little bit of fun facts there about our town. Jumping into world news, U.S. announcement of pullout from Afghanistan undermines the chances of peace, according to Reuters. U.S. President Joe Biden's announced pullout of troops from Afghanistan by September 11th has jeopardized Washington's push for peace with Taliban Islamists and increased the chances of an upsurge in violence, sources say. Biden announced the withdrawal pushed back from May 1 deadline agreed with the Taliban without buy-in from the insurgents, sources involved in the discussions told Reuters. The decision was signaled just hours after Turkey announced dates for a crucial peace summit on April 24th with the Taliban, which the Taliban had also not yet agreed upon. The Taliban then announced they were shunning the summit while troops remained, throwing the process into disarray. Biden's announcement decreases any leverage the international community has left over them and helps the Taliban justify refusing to attend. One official whose country is involved in the peace process of the Taliban's negotiating position has become much stronger and chances of progress are slim. Iran nuclear talks to last several days and then pause, according to an EU official. Talks on rescuing Iran's 2015 nuclear deal will carry on for several days before breaking so that Iranian and US officials can return home for consultations, according to EU officials on Friday. The EU is chairing meetings in Vienna of the remaining parties to the deal: Iran, Russia, China, France, Germany, and Britain. A delegation from the US, which pulled out of the accord under President Donald Trump, is based in a nearby hotel as Iran has refused to hold direct talks. A second round of talks, which involved discussions in various formats, as well as formal meetings of all the remaining parties, started on Thursday. The aim is a U.S. return to the deal, lifting the sanctions that were reimposed after its pullout and undoing Iranian breaches of its nuclear restrictions. The talks have been overshadowed by an explosion at Iran's main uranium enrichment facility at Natanz, which Tehran has blamed on Israel, and Iran's decision to enrich uranium to 60% purity, a big step towards weapons grade. In national news, this is breaking, so very short here. U.S. Justice Department announces first guilty plea in Capitol riots case. The U.S. Justice Department on Friday publicly revealed its first plea agreement in the hundreds of criminal cases stemming from the deadly January 6 attacks on the U.S. Capitol. John Schaefer, a native of Indiana and founder of the band Iced Earth, is expected to enter a guilty plea according to court documents. That's all they had for now. Earlier this morning, 8 shot dead at FedEx facility in Indiana. Police say a motive is unclear. Authorities said on Friday that it was still too early to know what motivated a gunman who killed 8 employees at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis and wounded several others before taking his own life. The shooting, the latest in a spate of recent mass shootings across the U.S. that has reignited a fiery debate over gun violence, unfolded at a FedEx operations center near the Indianapolis International Airport after 11 p.m. local time Thursday night. The incident, which lasted only a couple minutes, was already over by the time police responded. Craig McCart, the Indianapolis Police Department's deputy chief, told a news briefing on Friday. Witnesses described a chaotic scene as the gunman opened fire in the parking lot before entering the facility and continuing to fire. Officers found the suspect dead inside the facility of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, along with 4 victims. The other 4 victims were outside. In Ohio news, Consumers Council asked the Supreme Court to force action in AES Ohio rate case. The Ohio Consumers Council has asked the Ohio Supreme Court Wednesday to direct state regulators to issue a final appealable order in a case involving AES Ohio, arguing that AES Ohio customers are being deprived of potentially lower electric rates. The Public Utilities Commission of Ohio has been withholding a ruling in the AES Ohio case since February 14, 2020. A final order requested by the Office of the Ohio Consumers Council, the council's office said in a writ filed with the Supreme Court. For OCC and the 465,000 Dayton area consumers it represents, the PUCO's delay has been wrong and harmful for consumers. In 15 months since February 2020, AES Ohio has charged its customers about $91 million for what the OCC alleges is an unlawful charge. Local news. Beaver Creek schools say massive cuts coming if May levy fails. The Beaver Creek School District is asking voters to approve an $8.7 million renewal levy in the May 4 election after they rejected 2 levy requests in 2020. The district says it will make massive budget cuts this summer if the 5-year renewal deal is rejected. The levy, which has been on the books since 2001, generates $18.5 million per year, 18% of Beaver Creek City Schools' operating budget. The school district has been hosting community forums to explain and answer questions about the funding to taxpayers. Ryan Gilding, the district spokesman, said the levy will continue to pay for day-to-day ops. Like every school district, Beaver Creek's largest operating cost is staff salaries and benefits. The levy would also pay for things like busing, utilities, and classroom supplies. Quote, when you're making cuts in a school district, none of them are ultimately good for the kids, and that's the tough part about this. The district will implement a roughly $8.5 million cut package in summer 2021 if the renewal levy does not pass in May. The cuts would include eliminating 134 school employee jobs, plus eliminating busing for the high school and raising participation fees for sports and extracurriculars. Sports news, short article here. The Dayton Flyers look to be playing in Orlando for the Orlando Invite this season. The Dayton Flyers will spend Thanksgiving in Orlando, Florida this year. The Flyers will join Kansas, Georgetown, Alabama, Miami, Iona, and some other teams in the field for the Orlando Invitational. And in strange news, a gift of chocolate from Queen Victoria is intact 121 years later. A 121-year-old chocolate bar from a batch commissioned by Queen Victoria for British troops fighting in South Africa has been found in its original tin in the attic of an English manor. The chocolate belonged to an English aristocrat who fought in the Second Boer War. Sir Henry Edward Paston Bedingfield, who was found in his helmet case at his family's ancestral home, 500-year-old Oxburgh Hall in Norfolk, Eastern England. Quote, although you wouldn't want it as your Easter treat, it is still complete and a remarkable find. The tin lid has a message in Victoria's handwriting that says, I wish you a happy new year, and the inscription, South Africa, 1900. The Second Boer War from 1899 and 1902 pitted Brits against the forces of two independent South African states run by the Boers and Afrikaans-speaking farmers, where huge gold and diamond deposits had been found. Queen Victoria commissioned 100,000 half-pound bars to raise morale among the troops there. Okay, now for what we all wait for, the jokes. Which branch of the military accepts toddlers? The infantry. Did you know you can actually listen to the blood in your veins? You just have to listen varicosely. Though I enjoy the sport, I could never date a tennis player. Love means nothing to them. I have a joke about time travel, but I'm not going to share it. You guys did not like it. I was kidnapped by mimes once. They did unspeakable things to me. Okay, these next two are a little morbid. I do apologize. What do the movies Titanic and The Sixth Sense have in common? Icy dead people. When you die, what part of the body dies last? The pupils, they dilate. The medical professionals are probably just rolling their eyes here. A friend of mine went bald years ago, but still carries around an old comb. He just can't part with it. What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals? Philippe Fallope. And last one, what do you call the wife of a hippie? Mississippi. Fines. If you ever deployed to Afghanistan, that's $1. If you have ever visited the Capitol and did not attack it, that's $1. If you did attack it, you're probably dealing with the Justice Department right now. If you learned something new about Beaver Creek today, that's $1. If you don't support our Beaver Creek schools, that's $1. And Paul Otten says, keep your hands raised so he can take names. And lastly, if you have ever found old chocolate in your house and ate it, that's $1. And with that, back to the president.
Thanks, Brandon. Rick, as you can see, the jokes have not gotten better. I mean,
Yeah, Brandon. I mean, my goodness, that's kind of morbid, man. You know about the mortality we deal with here at the hospital, man. I tell you.
All right. With that, again, thanks, Brandon, for that. With that, we have a stand-in for show and tell and a preemptive measure. Brian Jarvis has went ahead and prepared something for show and tell on just the basis that he might be asked in the future. So since Mike Zwick deferred to next week, we have the pleasure of having Brian Jarvis give us our show and tell. So Brian, I have turned over screen sharing capability, so you are good to go.
When I try to click on, hey, it happens. This is how I'm speaking. Very good. Okay. Let me know if this shows up.
Yep.
And you all can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. A 2-minute bio. They always say to be already in season and out of season. So just in case I had this ready, 2 minutes. What's most important to me of value is family. That's always the case. And so you'll see that as we walk through this. Born in Indiana, 1955. Raised in an Air Force family, 3 brothers, 1 sister. In this old passport photo, my sister's not born yet. She's still 2 years away. So there's me and my 3 brothers. I'm the one to the left in front of my father. We moved to Dayton in 1966, the 7th place we had lived at the time when I was 11 years old. Little known family trivia, my father was one of the first in the Air Force to receive the rank of Senior Master Sergeant. The rank started in 1958. He got the very next year. He was also one of the earliest to receive the rank of chief, March 1961. So that goes way back. In 1969, he was nominated for Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, one of 22 chiefs interviewed. He didn't make the cut, unfortunately, so we were that close to having a Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force in my family. It was awarded to Chief Harlow, by the way. 73 graduate of Stebbins High School in Riverside. I'm an Air Force veteran, stationed in 2 or 3 places. That's me getting an Airman of the Quarter award when I was stationed in Korea. Went to Wright State University, have 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree. Worked in aerospace for 28 years, worked for E-Systems, TRW, Logicon, and retired from Northrop Grumman in 2010. My wife, Connie, I met her at TRW. She's a 1973 graduate of Beaver Creek High School and has a degree in finance from Park College. We moved here in September 2002. We both retired in 2010. I was appointed to City Council in February of 2009, elected to City Council in 2009, served as Vice Mayor with Scott Hadley being the mayor, re-elected in 2013 as mayor with Deborah Wallace being the Vice Mayor. A little known trivia, my sister also made chief. It's unusual to have 2 chiefs in a family. But when she retired in 2014, she was a Beaver Creek resident. So I attended as her brother and as mayor and offered a proclamation to our resident for her outstanding service to our great nation. That was a lot of fun. I was inducted into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame in 2014, Stebbins High School Outstanding Alumni in 2015, Business Journal, a veteran of influence, served on various boards and committees in our community, and still serving on the Greene County Law Library Board as a county commissioner appointment. Hobbies include family genealogy, and in retirement, so many other things that's just too many to mention. And finally, my most important pictures, me with my wife, Connie, and our 3 grandkids, Molly, Emma, and Drew. And on the other side, me and my 2 brothers, Marty and Bill, my sister Celia, standing in front of the Air Force Museum at the wall where we have a plaque dedicated to my father, who served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and both in the Army and the Air Force. So that's my 2 minutes and my family.
Wow, thanks, Brian. That I'm just thankful that I don't have to follow that. I will leave that to Mike, but thanks for sharing that with us. And it's always a pleasure to see all of these and get to know the members a little bit better. So thanks again, Brian. All right, with that, we will move on to Happy Bucks. Does anybody want to share a Happy Buck?
Yeah, I'll start. I have 2 actually. One for Brian Jarvis. So I was born in Beaver Creek and raised in Beaver Creek. So I knew a lot of Beaver Creek people, but as far as business, I was always in Fairborn. So when I started in Beaver Creek a couple of years ago, I would always see Brian at all the events. And I was like, that must be the mayor. Well, he wasn't the mayor at the time. So I was like, why is he still going to these events? Well, long story short, there was not an event that I went to that Brian was not at. So very impressed with all that you do and the community and continue to do. So glad to have you in Rotary. My other Happy Buck is for Rick Dodds. As much as we want to give him crap, we are very, very fortunate to have you as a Rotarian, and appreciate that you continue to be a member. I know you're super busy. You got a lot going on, but we're glad to have you here.
I have a Happy Buck, and mine is because yesterday, Alex, Beth, Pretap, and Fran O'Shaughnessy joined me at the Beaver Creek High School, where we ran the 4-way test speech face-to-face with the students. And it worked out really well, and I've already sent in the information to District 6670 of who our winner was, and waiting for information on how to be able to get a videotape version of the 4-way speech of our winner, Isaac Keller, so that the judges for the district will be able to see him. That's my Happy Buck.
Thanks, Danny. Go ahead, Jerry.
I've got 2 or 3 Happy Bucks. One, we spent last week in New Hampshire with our son and his family. celebrated our grandson's 15th birthday, got hugs all around for the first time in a year and a half. That was well worth the trip. It was good to see them again. They got a new puppy, that's second happy buck. And then I'm throwing 3 happy bucks in because driving back across upstate New York, we had left Utica. We were 60 miles out, the phone rang and a voice came on and said, Jerry, is this Jerry? Yeah, what's your last name? And I told him, he says, I have your wallet. I said, what? It had fallen out of my pocket at the rest stop or the service area. He got it. He said, where are you? I told him. He said, can you come back and get it? I said, I'm turning around next exit. How long can you wait? He said, I'll wait till you get here. We drove 60 miles back. We met him in Utica at a parking lot of a Dunkin' Donuts. And he gave me the wallet back. I tried to buy his dinner, offered him money. He says, nope, that's what you do when you find something. So Sammy Mohammed is my friend for life.
Wow.
Added 2 hours to our trip, but it was well worth it to get the wallet back.
Oh yeah.
I hope you invited him to join Rotary.
Huh? Rotary was probably the last thing I was thinking about at that point. But yeah, he was very nice. He and his buddy sat there in the Dunkin' Donuts and had a cup of coffee and waited for us. So my heart goes out to him.
Wow, and you met a new friend.
I met a new friend, you're right.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Jerry. Are there any other happy bucks?
I got 2 real quick. One for Rick again for being on here today. A shout out to Soin. I was in a car accident last week and had to go to Soin to get x-rays on my legs and thankfully came back negative, but just in and out so damn fast, so professional. It's always such a positive experience. I prefer not to go to Soin for obvious reasons. It means something's wrong, but great experience as always. Your team is awesome. And then in that same vein, I've been running terribly since my accident. My legs have felt terrible. I went to Gravity Spa yesterday. So just a shout out to them. I got a long massage and didn't know if it would help or not. And today I ran and it was the first time my legs just felt okay. And like, you know, since the accident. So that's good because I have a marathon in 9 days. So yeah.
I got one, Mike. Well, I got to have a happy buck for all of you guys. I mean, that's for sure. I got to do a happy buck for that. You guys are just amazing, just an incredible group, amazing community leaders here. Secondly, my father-in-law took his first step yesterday after a stroke he had 3 weeks ago. And so that's a big deal. The fact that he's getting a little bit of mobility within it's a big deal to us. And so we all exhibit life circumstances and proofs in the pudding when you utilize your own healthcare. And I was blessed to have Soin here as well, and the caregivers like Dr. Pearson. And others who continue to do a great job. So it's a big deal for our family on his path towards independence.
Wow, thanks for sharing, Rick. Any other happy bucks? All right, we will move on to announcements. I'm sure Eric has taken note of who's supposed to send him money this week. I think we should.
I made a long list, yes.
Okay, good. All right, just a few announcements. We will have a board meeting next week. All are welcome to attend. Couple of save the dates. The district conference is April 23rd and 24th. Registration is open. The goal is to have 5 club members attend. And again, it's Friday, April 23rd from 6 to 8:30 p.m. over Zoom, and Saturday, the 24th from 9 to 11. And there's a district 6670 business meeting from 11 to 12 if you can hang around for that, where our district governor will share updates on our district. He will introduce you to our future district governor and discuss our future in a post-COVID world. Reminder, this is free. It only costs your time. So if you can make that, please do. Founders Day again. I will make this announcement every week until we have our Founders Day meeting. Excited for that. It's going to be May 7th. If you haven't already, please update DAC-DB with your current contact information because we will be utilizing that to send out invitations. And lastly, the golf outing will be on July 16th. I sent out a email about this a couple of days ago, and we'll do so a couple more times before the outing, but go ahead and gather your foursomes. And if you need more information, contact Mick Lundy or Mike Zwick. Are there any other announcements? All right, I will move on. I will introduce Rick, and I think Rick will probably introduce his co-speaker. Rick, I got to say that there must have been a few of us looking forward to this Zoom meeting because our attendance is up more than it usually is. So as much as we want to give you a hard time, you're bringing the average up. So don't let anybody bring you down. So Rick is the president of Soin Medical Center and Green Memorial Hospital. He represents 2 of the 9 hospitals within the Kettering Health Network located here in the Dayton region. Soin Medical Center is a 174-bed regional medical center, and Green Memorial is a 41-bed community hospital providing the inpatient healthcare needs for Greene County. Prior to moving into Ohio in 2014, Rick spent over 11 years in California hospitals, beginning in finance, transitioning into human resources, and also spent some time in hospital operations. He graduated from Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska, has a bachelor's in business administration with an emphasis in finance and accounting. He went on to get his MBA from La Sierra University with another emphasis in finance. He serves on the board of Her Story and the Beaver Creek Chamber. He's also on the Nursing Advisory Council at Union College and seeks to develop future leaders to further the ministry of healing. He holds a certification in healthcare compliance and is a member of the American College of Healthcare Executives. Rick and his wife of 18 years, his wife's name is Victoria. Married for 18 years. They're proud parents of 2 children, Adeline, who is 12, and Ryan. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Rick. And again, thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, everyone. It's great to see you all. To get started, I want to do someone extremely special in our organization. Dr. Dan Pearson. And Dr. Pearson, I would allow you to introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Dan Pearson. I went to medical school in St. Louis University. After that, I came actually to Beaver Creek and attended residency at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Following that, I went to fellowship down in San Antonio for 3 more years of service, where I returned to Beaver Creek. I got back here in 2017, where I've been working over at Wright-Patterson. Up until last year, I was able to come over and join Soin full-time as a pulmonary and critical care physician. I live here in Beaver Creek. I've got 3 kids that are 8, 6, and 3 now, I guess. So very blessed to be here at Soin.
Dr. Pearson is humble. He's triple boarded, and he's the one who takes care of our most intensive patients in our intensive care unit. He is medical director of our new intensive care unit, oversees an intermediate care delivery system as well that he helped us develop, and really just does an exceptional job at our institution, and recently put up solar panels on his house. Now that's a big deal. So I'm going to try to share my screen here, and okay, can you see my screen here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, do you still see the screen?
Yep.
All right.
You're in presenter mode though, Rick.
I'm in presenter mode?
Yes.
All right. Then I'm not doing the right thing here. Okay. Bear with me here, guys. Okay. Try this now. Is that better?
Perfect.
Is that all right? All right. We'll get started here. Just a few quick things. So we're going to get right down to business. So what Dr. Pearson and I wanted to talk about was leading through COVID. You know, as we look at leading through COVID, one of the major items is it's not like normal, and particularly in a healthcare setting. So we want to give you a glimpse of some of the things that we've been working through from a healthcare perspective. But first, just to begin, I just want to share that we're part of Kettering Health Network, our mission, vision, and value statement. We were just here in October. Many of you know us. State-of-the-art care in many of different areas and service lines. It all is through people, though. I got to tell you, people's everything, folks. And we were voted Fortune 100 best places to work in healthcare in Kettering Health Network. in 2020. We've not been reaccredited in 2021, but that will probably be an assumption that we'll be going for again. Leapfrog A-rated facility, and in fact, majority of our hospitals are Leapfrog A-rated facilities. Soin Medical Center has been this way for many years. And what that means is that's top 15% in the nation for value. Leapfrog's important because it's what employers look at. And so it's value proposition. Do they provide good quality, good patient experience, and value overall? And a top 15 health system according to IBM Watson Health as well. So Soin Medical Center, a beautiful place, but even better people. And we're just really proud of our organization. We're now a 174-bed facility, level 3 trauma. We've got 4 centers of excellence. We're a teaching hospital now. So lots of teaching happens here that Dr. Pearson and team get to be a part of. And as you can see, our other service lines there also. Our residents, you can see a smattering of our residents. They look young. They are young. They look younger the older you get, just FYI. And it's just great people, amazing individuals that we're training overall. And these individuals are staying within our structure. The future of healthcare is keeping people out of hospitals. We noticed this about 4.5 years ago. And so we have developed a family practice residency center, and we're trying to align. And now this family practice residency center matches the largest family practice residency center in the state of Ohio. At 10 per year is what we graduate for family practice residents. We also are the only community-based clinical informatics fellowship nationally. We are the only rural pathway training program in Ohio. Right states developing one also. We're glad they are, by the way, because rural healthcare needs more and more family practice physicians. So this is a good thing. And then we've also partnered with Ohio Hospice for palliative care to serve the network needs. And I got to tell you, Ohio Hospice does a pretty good job. And so that transition of care, making sure we're working with other community agencies is important to us overall. I'm going to mention something that may seem out of place, but it's not once you hear why. Springfield Growth. You see Springfield, you see it on the screen there. We're building in Springfield. It's going to be a service of Soin Medical Center. It's going to be directly connected to us in part of Kettering Health Network under our hospital license up there in Springfield. That's why I mentioned this here in Beaver Creek, because it speaks to the prominence of a regional presence versus just a singular small community presence. People are driving from outside of Beaver Creek in droves in order to get here to Soin Medical Center and seeking their health care because of great people like Dr. Pearson and team who take amazing care of our sickest population overall. So leading through COVID, I got to tell you, here's where I'd like Dr. Pearson and I to tag team it. When you talk about enhancing durability, when you think of the term durable, really that's what COVID has taught us what to be, is how do we be durable that we're able to withstand what is able to be faced in front of us. And then leading through our people. Our people are everything, and continue to drive excellence and continue to drive a great work that they do. I want to show you a few things here though. As you look at the voice of our people and our patients, that's what really we have to think through, and that's where I want to start. The voice of our patients is what's most important to us as an organization. I won't read each one of these, but as you can see, those voices are real. Some of those voices can be spoken even when Brandon mentioned that he had to be there and he was in and out pretty quickly. I hope that's an experience every time, and I know it's not every time. Because sometimes we've got 67 people that are sitting in our ER. We've got 29 beds. And so there's 26 beds. So there's just a great need sometimes, and that's the nature of ERs. But overall, I tell you, this team, when we look at patient satisfaction, we lead the network at Soin Medical Center with patient experience. And so really proud of the great work that Dr. Pearson and others, Frank Farkash is in charge of our ER. So make sure to give him a hard time anytime you can, but also he's a great contact to have. He's one person that you always keep on your cell phone because he can help you out in many situations. So it's good to have Frank on the call. But really, as I thought about what we, Dr. Pearson and I can share with you, give you a picture. This picture was painted by our good friend, and many of you know him as Irvin Gria. Irvin Gria painted this picture, and I took a picture of it sitting on my desk. We're going to be posting this picture upstairs in our 3rd floor because at one point, approximately 50% of our beds were COVID beds. And Dr. Pearson's going to talk and give us insight into a little bit more of the life of a caregiver throughout the COVID crisis, which is still ongoing. We still have situations we're dealing with right now. But what you see there is this Irvin is a painter. If you don't know, he's an artist, an incredible artist. And Irvin painted this for us. And as you can see here, just look at he actually saw this in the hallway. Someone just basically knelt down right beside the floor in all of their pappers and essentially was just overwhelmed. And so he took that mental image and put it into form. That's what our teams has been going through. We've experienced things taking care of the community that you wouldn't traditionally experience, and the selfless service of our 1,100 people who serve the community is exceptional, really, truly exceptional. So I'll just give you a quick situation update. We've got 47 people currently within Kettering Health Network, about 100-ish within the community. So you can see we still have 11 over at Soin. We've got vaccination clinics all over the place, but at one point, our high in Kettering Health Network was 263. So having 47 versus 263 is definitely a good thing overall. So as you can see, the numbers have gone down drastically. And Dr. Pearson's going to talk about vaccines and all those kind of things as well. So here's the trend in the region. So this is a regional basis. So you can see there was a number of, if you date back to October of 2020 is when we started to see an increase on there. First part of December, we saw a fairly significant peak within our region. Then you started to see it go down. Mid-January, started to see it go up. And then February, you saw a significant decrease as vaccines started to be introduced a little bit further into the community. And then April, we saw a small little increase right there, but I would assume that we'll continue to see those blips as we go through. So Dr. Pearson, tell us about what it's been like as a caregiver. Tell us about your critical care, and you just tell me when to advance.
Thank you, Rick. So COVID started here about 13 months ago is about when we got our first patient. And I think if we all recall back around that time, there was a lot of fear and uncertainty as to what was going to happen. We saw what was happening in China and how it kind of came around the earth through Europe, and we saw what was happening in Italy, and we knew that we were going to be faced with it without a good lot of information about what the right things to do, what the right treatments were. And really the only thing we had to go on back when this all started about a year ago was that we just had to treat our people as best as we knew how, stay as up to date with the information as we could. And I have to say that the preparation and the teamwork that we had throughout the network and here at Soin really was a full building effort, everywhere from environmental services to the cooks in the kitchen to nursing aides to physicians. Really was a team effort to make sure that we could provide compassionate care, reassure our patients that came in facing this horrible virus, and try to offer some level of peace to them even as they were struggling. I think we've all been affected by the virus at this point, but one thing that we've really tried to do, and I think we've done very well, is to take care of our community in a way that lets anyone affected by this virus have some amount of peace as things don't go so well, because we have a lot of patients that were right on the knife's edge, from not doing so good to maybe doing okay. And so there were many a time where, we would hold our patients' hands and we would talk with them and reassure them that they would be taken care of, that everything would be okay. Even as we knew in our hearts that things were not going to be okay, just so that our patients, before they went to sleep for the last time, would feel okay and they would be at peace, despite going through what they were going through. That being said, we performed really well. We were the second highest by volume in the network as far as patients with COVID, but we had the lowest hospitalized mortality rate in the area. So that's something that we're very proud of, not only providing such compassionate care, but also our ability to get folks home and back to their loved ones. Let's go to the next slide. As many of you know, we have a brand new ICU that just opened back in August. And this is a representative room that we have now, which really offers state-of-the-art technology to provide the very best care for these patients. As you can see, it's very clean, very sleek. And each one of these booms that you can see that are suspended from the ceiling, each one provides enough support that we could provide support to more than one patient if needed, which became real conversations during the kind of peak of the pandemic a few months ago. This also allowed us to do some really special things for families that were afflicted with more than one illness that was serious and ultimately fatal. But this new building has been a real blessing in order to really provide the most state-of-the-art critical care to our community without having to leave Beaver Creek, without having to go 20 to 30 minutes somewhere else, and really stay close to home. And so I'm really proud to be a part of this ICU and have this here in Beaver Creek. Actually, I remember I actually lived right behind Kohl's when I was a resident. And I watched Soin get built. And I thought, how cool would it be to work there someday? And here we are with this beautiful ICU taking care of our community right here in the heart of Beaver Creek. So I'm really proud to be here and part of that. Let's go to the next slide. Another really exciting thing that's happening here just down the hallway is we have a brand new simulation center that will be home to the 711th Performance Wing ICU technician training platform. Previously, ICU technicians in the Air Force had no special identifier. They weren't able to find an ICU technician from a general medicine technician on the floor. But this program will allow the readiness folks, a list of individuals that have been trained and certified in ICU technician. And what these folks are going to be able to do is they're going to be able to force multiply our physicians and our nurses as they deploy across the globe wherever they're needed, to allow the nurses to care for more patients and have more critical thinking and less focus on the more routine and mundane tasks, and allow the physicians also to take care of more patients in any given period of time. Really, the most impact here will be in a deployed setting, potentially during mass casualties that can get rather chaotic. I was part of the CCAT. In fact, I ran the CCAT critical care air transport program here at Wright-Patterson while I was active duty. And what it'll do for that setting, it will identify a group of people that can really empower the rest of the team members to care for more folks and provide more excellent care, more over and above what they're currently able to do. And we'll be training them here in the Soin ICU with 2 very high fidelity simulation mannequins. And we're very proud to have this partnership, and we're very excited to get this up and running. These are some of the folks that are involved. We have a retired Jeff March as our program administrator, and a couple of active duty cadre that will be here and running the show. Major Perry and Captain D'Amico. We're anticipating the first students to show up here later this year in October.
So in addition, Dr. Pearson, if I could just add, these are the only walls that you'll see in the entire facility that are Air Force blue. We allowed the Air Force to paint those walls, though. That's pretty neat. And that simulation center, just to underscore it, is right beside our current intensive care unit. So it's just down the hallway from Dr. Pearson's office on his ICU. And that adds to a lot of credibility that the individuals are going to be able to train right there, go out and see real life situations, which traditionally at a base hospital, Dr. Pearson, correct me if I'm wrong, the acuity at a base hospital may not be quite the same as what you'd see here.
You're absolutely correct. The acuity at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is significantly lower than what we see here at Soin.
Yeah. So the benefit here is we're going to be training people from around the world. It's been an awesome partnership with the Air Force. To me, that's community. And to me, that's how we engage in a meaningful way to be able to help out the Air Force. It also provides a great symbiotic relationship with the Air Force to continue to drive excellence right here for the Dayton region. As we continue to make Beaver Creek and Dayton a prominent area, we've had multiple generals come through and tour this facility, and we continue to have a lot of discussion from the Air Force. And also, as the DHS continues to be more of the governing body for all the DoD related entities within the healthcare realm, we're seeing more and more an activity around this, and this has gotten a lot of attention on it. So it's great to see for the Dayton region as well. Dr. Pearson, do you want to speak a little bit more about, what was it? Tell us, give us a glimpse inside of the ICU right now.
Well, right now in the ICU, we've got a couple of folks with COVID. And we've got several other folks that are getting anything from cardiothoracic surgery to emergency heart procedures to other, very critical illnesses that we're able to take care of here in Beaver Creek, which I think is just wonderful. We've got a great staff, staff of nurses here that have been through a lot. I think that the core group of us have been through COVID. We've stuck together for over a year now. There have been folks that have had to move on to other positions due to COVID fatigue, which is understandable. But really, I think there's a sense of normalcy returning now that vaccinations have really kicked off and gotten going. Acceptance of masking has really been become more prominent. It's been really great to see folks really helping the community try to reduce the spread of COVID.
Dr. Pearson, tell us about the vaccines. A lot of talk about Johnson & Johnson right now. What's your thoughts? I just thought I'd come right. It's on everyone's mind, right? Might as well ask it.
I think the vaccines are wonderful. I think that if you can get whichever vaccination you're able to get at this time, Johnson & Johnson's on hold, but in my opinion, is whichever vaccine is available is the vaccine that you should get. Because we've seen it work. We've seen the numbers go down. Some of the vaccinations do work against the variants that we're seeing coming across from the UK. So I think any vaccination right now is better than no vaccination.
We just wanted to provide a short update. Dr. Pearson, thank you. We're here for questions, Mike.
Thank you both. And we're very fortunate to have Soin, and we kind of take it for granted, I think, a little bit. We drive by that beautiful building, on a semi-regular basis probably, and not realize what goes on inside those walls. So happy to have the both of you here. Thanks again. Assuming you'll take questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment actually. So I'm a pretty young guy, but the older I get, I realize how actually important it is to have some good healthcare hospitals around us. So Premier is great too, but Kettering is one of my favorite. I mean, my dad just had open heart surgery, so he started at Soin, and then he had a surgeon over at Kettering Health Network or Medical Center, and obviously a scary time. And I appreciate Rick reaching out too. Obviously everything went well, and very fortunate for that. And then my mom, she goes on base, another great facility. So it's great seeing that you guys, especially, Soin, you guys are doing everything, but to partner with Right Pat, I mean, it makes so much sense. And I remember touring the place with you. When you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. So, and if people were wondering, two things. One, the walls are fireproof. I learned that. And this is for Dan. I don't know if Rick told you, but City Barbecue is actually the sponsor catering for Kettering Medical. So that's unofficial, but just so you know, Dan.
I think I've already noticed, and we appreciate it very much.
I will make one more comment. I am so impressed with how great you guys take care of your staff. I mean, it's amazing. You guys really preach what you're doing, even to the building and seeing the new construction at Soin, to the pictures, to the quotes you have on the wall. I know, City Barbecue, we catered you, since October till probably March, catered all of your facilities, and that was directly your team paying for all of the nurses, directly dealing with COVID. So that's amazing that, you're taking care of your nurses. And like I said, I can't say enough. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Stephen, for your support. It means a lot. I got to tell you, there's nothing better to cheer up the people on the floor, right, Dr. Pearson, seeing City Barbecue show up.
Absolutely. Everyone looks forward to it a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Actually, one more question. So you mentioned the training, and I'm sorry if you already said this, but so the training, how long is it? How many students are you having? Or, are they staying for a week, or, how does that work?
The training will be for several weeks. I believe they're targeting 10 students per class.
Yeah, and it'll be about 100 per year is what they're looking to train. This is similar to an EMT level, Dr. Pearson, if I'm not mistaken, right? Ish?
It's a little bit higher than EMT. They're actually going to be eligible to sit for their LPN.
Okay.
This is Frank. I was just going to, as well, the instructors for that course are active duty nurses, and they will be working alongside to maintain their clinical skills, much like we have surgeons that work with us as well. But they'll be working with us in the emergency department and the intensive care unit as they're training these folks, the critical care technicians. They'll be spending time in our emergency room when a new trauma patient comes in, or a patient in cardiac arrest. They will be immediately alerted, be right there at that bedside to do that, get that level of care, and continue to build that skill set and that competency. So really excited about this partnership from the emergency room side as well.
Yeah, thank you, Frank.
Are there any other questions? All right. As you know, maybe Rick or might have forgotten, we do like to dedicate a book on your behalf. So I'll turn it over to Beth to do that.
Thank you, Mike. Rick, Dr. Pearson, in your honor, we will be donating a children's book to the Beaver Creek Community Library. And this is called Lin Tang and the Pirate Queen, which is a thrilling tale of friendship and adventure on the high seas. So thank you very much for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Sorry. Next week, we'll have Bethany Deans from Dayton Shriners Hospital presenting to our club, and she will be introduced by Carrie Tucker. We will have Mike Zwick, who I think joined us. He will do our show and tell for next week. Also, please keep an eye on upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and Facebook. Is there anything else for the good of the club? All right. Thanks again, Dan. Thanks, Rick. And we'll see you right back here next week. Have a good weekend.
Good to see y'all.
Have a great weekend.